Heading into this thing, and again, we know where we're going here, and we know where this goes, but it's not over yet. 3-0, nothing to sneeze at here. The Dallas Mavericks currently leading the Western Conference Finals 3-0 with a chance to wrap it up at home tomorrow night. Celtics could know within 24 hours who they are playing in the NBA Finals, but right now all signs point to Dallas. We talked about it, Josue, earlier in the show, and I'm curious everybody's thoughts here. I do think that there's a little bit of panic all of a sudden, just watching Dallas play and watching how masterful Luka has been and having the two closers and seeing them come back and the way they've played down the stretch in Minnesota, puking on themselves a little bit here. All of a sudden, people are a little fearful. What's your vibe? And I'll bring in Bobby Manning here as well.
I mean, the way these guys are rolling right now, I think there's a little bit of fear there. But I think when you look at guys like Drew Holiday, and obviously there's the Porzingis, how he's going to look when he comes back. But overall, I still like the Celtics' chances in this hypothetical series, even though they're one win away. I really do, because one, I don't think Kristaps is I don't think this team is going to be hurt if Kristaps doesn't completely have it in game 1 or game 2. I think they have enough that you get a much more productive Kristaps Porzingis, comfortable Kristaps coming back from that injury somewhere midway through the series, or maybe after those first 2 games. In the meantime, do you see more of this small ball? I would love to see that. I mean, Zannis, you brought this up during the Cleveland series. Like, why don't these guys go small? Well, you look at the way they switch into the zone, in game 3, and the way they've looked defensively when they really want to, right? When all 5 guys are dedicated on that end of the floor, it's really hard to score against these guys. And they did play with their food in this game 4 matchup, but overall, when they're in that mode and that mindset, it's really hard to score, and I think I really do like my chances, again, with the way they've been looking lately. And Al Horford dialed in, guys like Drew Holiday, I think the experience of those guys ultimately take over, but it'll still be fun and entertaining. I don't think it'll be an easy series at all against these guys, and Kyrie and Luka, who obviously are very hungry to win a championship, and especially someone like Kyrie who can pull it off for the first time since winning with LeBron. So look, I can't wait for it. I think everyone is excited for, obviously, the storylines and all that. It's going to be very competitive, but I do like the Celtics' chances against the Dallas Mavericks. The Denver Nuggets was the only team that really I would have honestly picked over the Celtics. And look at the way things played out west and with Minnesota. I just feel like 2 weeks ago it was the Nuggets. They're going to win it. Last week it was everyone talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now it's the Dallas Mavericks, but no one's giving the Celtics the benefit of the doubt, and I think that plays a big part in this series as well. I think these guys are going to have a big chip on their shoulder. Jaylen Brown being the guy at the top of the list. Tatum, you go down the starting 5, and then have Kristaps back again. Give me the Celtics against the Mavs. I pick the Celtics.
Certainly a culmination of a long time that they've built up toward this, and that was a big conversation obviously throughout the year. They didn't want to compare this to the past, but particularly they compared it to 2022, as you guys heard. The daunting amount of games, the matchups they had to play on that stretch. Listen, a lot's been made about the path they've gone on here, and the 3 stars, the best player on the opposing team going down in each series to this point. And certainly they'll have to overcome, as Josue mentioned there, 2 superstars in Kyrie and Luka playing at the height of their game right now. But they've earned the rest that they're going to get here. The rejuvenation, I'd truly be stunned if Kristaps Porzingis isn't back in 10 days. Like, it's just hard to imagine that not being enough unless this is just way more serious than we think it is. And of course, all the reporting today, as you guys know, is that it's just a cautiousness right now that they're rolling with as they go up 3-0 in this series. So they're in a good place. There was just a lot of happiness. And I think Jimmy asked me last show, like, is there like a relief after some of these frantic wins? Or is there like thank God we won that? Again tonight, I don't feel that. I feel like we've worked on this stuff. We've been in these situations before, and now we're actually executing. This was like almost the exact same game as last one, except you didn't have all the Horford threes. You didn't have bailout plays from some role players in that sense. The best players on the team had to make plays, and they did it over and over again in this game. And White was struggling, and he converts his late. But this was Brown, this was Tatum, and Drew Holiday again stepping up big late after some of his struggles. So everybody here is just in a great place in terms of they know their roles. They know what they need to do any given night. I think from Missoula's perspective, like the focus on the little things has really panned out. The offensive rebounding in this game, again, guys, like they didn't do that last year. And now every time they need a big offensive rebound, they go get it and give themselves another chance. And this is the stuff, like, I don't care about anything Dallas is doing. I just don't. Like, they're not ready to win. The Celtics are.
Dude, Porzingis didn't even play in the last game, I think, right? That they beat them by 28.
They're not ready to beat the Celtics. They're not.
If he plays, not. But is anybody here? I know, Bobby, you said the reporting.
Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
I mean, we're talking about opinions of what whether or not the Mavericks are legit or not. I was just cruising Twitter earlier. I want to read two tweets that have come across my timeline, okay? First one is Nick Wright. Everyone knows Nick Wright.
Yeah, Dallas in 5.
Talking.
I mean, give me a break. Like, can I do the whole thing?
Everybody. John couldn't let me read the tweet. He needed to just blurt it out.
The chat has done that one for the last hour and a half. That thing's been in the chat 75,000 times, Jimmy.
No, it hasn't.
It's not breaking news.
I don't want to go
in the chat.
I don't want to go too long on that.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Read the other one, Jimmy.
Read the other one. I won't stop on this one.
Nick Wright says Mavs in 5. And then Kevin O'Connor responds, KOC. We all love KOC here. He responds, exactly. The real test awaits on June 6th for the Celtics. That's no disrespect to what they've done. You can only play the games on the schedule, and they've dominated. But the West has undeniably been far more grueling all year long and definitely is during these playoffs. So those are two NBA, analysts, reporters.
Nick, I don't believe Nick Wright's a real person. One day,
I don't either.
All of a sudden, he was on my Twitter timeline, and people were like angry about what he was saying. I'm like, where did this guy
that's
come
a Syracuse
from?
guy. Hold on.
Yeah, no, exactly, Bobby. All of a sudden,
Bobby, I wasn't going to let them know that, Bobby.
Yeah. You don't have to claim them all, Bobby. You don't got to claim them all.
Exactly.
Let me just say this. So if we want to sit here on one side and say there's some daunting like pick and roll coverage issues here in this series that you have to be worried about, the physicality of Dallas's bigs if Porzingis can't go is certainly a concern against what the Celtics have in the front court right now. The depth, there's a lot there to like on that Dallas side, but I just feel like, and maybe they're not getting at that, but I feel like generally a lot of the doubt in the Celtics nationally has been like, like the old Celtics is always rearing their head, and that you just can't trust them, and their offense is disgusting, and this and that. I don't know where that's coming from when they're 12-2 now at this point. They're 6-0 on the road. They're taking care of business. It might not look pretty, but they have answers for everything. And that was actually my favorite answer of the night from Derek White, is that they have everything they need. They have all the answers they need. They can respond to anything any other team does. And you saw it in this series, like,
that's
right? The
always
Pacers
been the way, right, Bobby? Like that's the thing, is the Celtics are equipped to play any style against any team.
Yeah. And so the Pacers, this was a Brooklyn style sweep here. Like every game was competitive. Every game, a lot got thrown at them in terms of shot making, in terms of pace, in terms of a style that was really difficult to keep up with. And they just answered it every time. Down 18, here you go. Down 8 late in this one, here you go. They just get it done. And so I don't get the doubt anymore in them. I don't. And I've been as critical of them as anyone throughout this year. I certainly was all over them last year. I think this show has been as tough on them as anyone. But I think there's a difference between being tough on them because there's a lot of talent and expectations here, and just rolling your eyes and doubting them because in like 2022 and 2023 they couldn't get it done. It's not the same team as they've said over and over again.
But you say that, Bobby, and I want to pose this to everybody else here. Like, it's not the same team in terms of some aspects of it. There's obviously personnel changes, but when you look at it, without Porzingis, who they've been without for the majority of this run to the finals, and you can talk about other people that were missing other places as well, but throughout this run to the finals, and they're currently 12-2, and I'll also say I'm far from a Celtics apologist. This is basically the same team as last year, with Holiday as an upgrade over Smart and without Rob Williams. And so that team just walked to the NBA Finals with a 12-2 record without Kristaps Porzingis. So that's got to say something for the overall kind of growth and maturity of the guys who were here before, who you thought couldn't really get it done, or maybe needed that extra boost to get them over the top. You've made it this far without Porzingis really factoring into anything.
Think of where Jalen, 1 year ago and 2 days probably, Jalen's turned the ball over 8 times and just completely
and without Grant. It's funny when you remove Porzingis, it's the same team without Grant, without Rob, and with Holiday subbing in for Smart. That's what you are without Porzingis.
Yeah, I mean tonight, late, Tillman was your 6th man, coming in for Tatum with the foul trouble. So it's certainly thinned out through the playoffs.
The stars are stars now. I agree with Kess, and we said this at the beginning of the year. Yeah, top 6. Who's going to mess with us? Come get the belt, right? But beyond that, it can get a little funky, and that's what happened here.
And that happened in the series, but it didn't matter.
Mess with your rotations, right? It gets a little funky, and you saw what happened. Guys had stints, but they were largely ineffective. Tillman, Hauser, even
got
Pritchard
away from
at
Cornet
times.
tonight.
Cornet some, but not all there. Brissett has one good night, not a good one, and then literally gets put in witness relocation tonight, and he's gone. You'll never see him again. So there's not a lot of trust there, and they did it without Porzingis.
Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.